Hello everyone, welcome back to the Back Post. I hope you're all doing well. Today we've got a big podcast plan. We're going to be talking about Chelsea versus Tottenham. We're going to be talking about the madness in the United game. We're going to be looking at all the results in the Premier League, and of course we're going to be looking ahead at some of the games coming up in the next week. Josh, I'm going to ask how you're doing, but I just know that you're not doing too well.
The game has kind of come secondary, Jay. I've got a lot to say about it. Then again, I don't have a lot to say about it. I've also just, I'm fucking knackered. I've got COVID, and I've set up at the top of the garden so you can hear the beautiful bird song, and not because my house is kind of in use. And that action has, is the equivalent of climbing Kilimanjaro for me right now. So it's not quite. I'm fine, but
Josh is in the best place to be talking about a Tottenham loss.
It's a sad time, but I'm going to bring the energy for half an hour, and we're going to get through the pod, Jay, and I'm going to crash. And it's going to be great.
That sounds good to me.
Let's roll on. Let's just get it out of the way, shall we? Tottenham 0, Chelsea 3. It's a really, really confusing game to talk about. I don't want to be too harsh on Nuno at all, because he got his tactics spot on. But and for the first half an hour, if Kane and Son, especially Kane, because there's some things to be said about him, could put the ball in the back of the net, we'd have a chance of then holding out for the win. But as it stands, the exact same thing that happened to Aston Villa, and to a lesser extent, the exact same thing that happened to Zenit, happened to us. And analogy time, Jay, in the weirdest way possible, Chelsea have been completely found out tactically. Like, managers have completely sussed out Chelsea, and that should be a concern for you. However, you could give me the entire list of Gordon Ramsay's best ever Michelin star recipes. I still can't make that dish. It's so annoying, and yet because you've been found out, but then you can bring Kante on. So what does it matter if you found out, if you can bring on the best DM in the world? What does it matter if you can be found out, if you can afford to plug your offensive weak gap with £100 million, one of the best strikers in the world? Right now you've got the players to deal with being found out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you got it spot on there, because Tottenham, and I was going to say the same thing. I think Nuno deserves a lot of credit for that first half, because he's clearly watched what happened against Villa, clearly watched what happened about Zenit, and gone, all right, there's something we need to do here. We need to get at them very aggressive in the first couple minutes and just put them on the back foot. We need to not let them, get control of the game, get more of the ball. We need to have more of the possession, and then that's the key to having opportunities. But Villa couldn't, and you couldn't. Even though you had Son and Kane on the pitch, you still couldn't find a way. And
Did we have Kane on the pitch? I wasn't aware.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And but I think the this perfect analogy. I think the only worry is that this should have applied for you with Son and Kane, but obviously it didn't. But when there are teams such as Liverpool and City, Liverpool we've played, City's coming up next week, with the likes of players that should be able to take their chances when they get them, that's when the worry is. But yeah, I think as much as you guys had such a strong half and you probably should have got a goal, I think a lot of credit has to go to our defenders in that game, because even though you really stunned us and put us on the back foot, players like Rudiger, Silva, Christensen, putting in some mad last-ditch kind of like slide tackles just to get it away from one of your attackers. Like, it was a really strong defensive performance again, and I think you're right. It's just showing some of the class, isn't it, that we have, and to be able to bring Kante on just to make a game more sure is perfect. A lot of people saying Tuchel's an absolute mastermind for bringing Kante on. I think he's a genius, but I don't think that for that reason. Like, anyone could have been like, yeah, Kante's the best DM in the world. Let's just get him on and show that midfielder.
Yeah, and if he's that fit, you wonder why he's not starting like a big game. Like, that's it's a bit weird to me as well. Like, just as a tiny little hole. If Tottenham versus Chelsea, whereas Tottenham have got 9 points out of 12, that seems like a Kante game.
Well, I don't think he was fully fit, because I think he starts if he is. I think basically
could have fooled me.
Well, I know, yeah, but that's just Kante, and he could be running around with a twisted ankle. He's just always like on it, but I think he wasn't fully fit. But I think the game we needed him, so we just had to put him in at half time, and he's just gone and classed it out. And I think that is
I think
smart
the
from
other thing,
Tuchel because
sorry,
because like if he's starting someone not fit, you're running the risk. I think it was a risk to put him on if he isn't fit. But like you said, he didn't look out of form at all, did he? So
looked all right. Looked all right. I think the other thing is as well is I think we'd have lost anyway. But what really compounded the game for Tottenham is losing Bergwijn and Son. Bergwijn and Mora. I just hit my mic there. Not because they were maybe shooing starters, because the system we played really worked, but once the energy ran out for Lo Celso and Ndombele and especially Dele, like he was pissing me off towards the end of the game. Like he was doing nothing, and I don't understand how you can take one of the most creative second strikers in Europe 5 years ago, and as much as I liked the idea of this new role, I don't think it's working.
I mean, he was at fault for the Silva goal, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, and he was, and well, to be fair, he was, and that's my first thing. But then I sort of noticed that sort of Dyer tried to take command of that situation and almost jumped in his way. I don't think he'd have got there anyway.
Yeah, I think
but Dyer kind of like pushed him down and like tried to win the header himself.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a bit of fair enough applied to that, but how Tottenham bring Mora on and we bring Bergwijn on, and they're two of our most energetic, defensively solid, and offensive players on the wing. Like they're brilliant in terms of getting back, especially Bergwijn.
Mm-hmm.
What he lacks for attacking output, he really puts in a shift, helping out his fullback. And to just not have the options of them and only have a Hill on the bench was annoying. I think
you brought Hill and Skip on, didn't you?
We did, yes. And to leave Dele on and take off Ndombele also upset me because in that first half, Jay, how good we need to keep him and we need to utilise him because he's so good.
Why isn't he playing? Like, what's going on there?
Even against Kante is a better player than Ndombele. Did you see how many? He sat like 4 or 5 times. He just sat him down and span around him. Like he's so good, and we need to utilise that because Tottenham doesn't have any creativity. We don't have any tempo. And Ndombele, if we get it right, is the one player that can create creativity and tempo from a game. Exactly what we lost ever since Eriksen left, and we've never replaced, especially that keyword tempo. Tottenham don't have a player that can dictate tempo. Lo Celso, I don't know what he does, really. It's very upsetting. I want to like him. Don't think he actually does anything on the pitch. And Ndombele, there was that sort of purple patch underneath Mourinho where he played Ndombele every game, and then it suddenly stopped. And I think you can directly correlate Tottenham's form to a fit and firing Ndombele. And I always forget, and people always forget, he's 21, 22.
Yeah, to be fair,
he's one of these young players we talk about. He's absolutely. I think he's 28. If I think about it.
yeah, he's one of them, isn't he?
Like, but maybe that's just because that's his squad number.
He's in his peak. We've got to play him now. He's 21. I've got
so hopefully
I've got like 2 questions for you, mate. Well, we've already kind of touched on it, but Harry Kane didn't look there yesterday. Like, what's going on there, mate?
I don't know. Tactically, we played him out on the left yesterday, which worked because it isolated Son one-on-one with Thiago Silva. So there's an understandable point there where you can't really judge him on yesterday because he played a job out wide where he was trying to play his playmaker role last season and feed Son. And then as the game slipped away from us, he kind of went, oh, for God's sake, and then pushed into the middle. And then when you push into a middle against Thiago Silva, Rudiger and Christensen, who are full of confidence after scoring a goal and taking a 2-0 lead,
mm-hmm.
You're always going to struggle because they're like brilliant, we're invincible, and Kane's desperate. So to judge him on that game's very difficult. But yes, it's concerning. He hasn't scored against anyone other than the Europa qualifying round, Europa Conference qualifying round. But how many times have we discussed Kane's slow? I mean, this is different because of obviously the rumours, but how many times throughout the years have we discussed Harry Kane's slow start to a season?
God, yeah. I mean, with every
maybe
year,
it's just back.
Every year of this podcast, we've spoke about his slow start.
Well, no, a few seasons for last season, he fired quite quickly, but maybe it's just returned to a bit of type here, and it's not ideal. But it's not fair to really judge where Harry Kane's loyalty, commitment, and desire is at until for a few months. I don't think.
Mm.
My one bright side is I think and Dombele looks promising, and I really do think although he's lost his first 2 games, he's lost 3-0, 3-0. I think that's a very unfair barometer, and I think Emerson Royale looks like an absolutely quality player once he gets just from the eye test. I think he looks absolutely superb.
Okay, well
so there's a bright spot.
That kind of leads into our second question with I think this is just going to happen when you bring in a manager that not everybody wanted, but I think fans, maybe not fans, but people seem to be slowly adding more and more question marks to Nuno already. It's so early. You had 3 games where you've won. Now you've had 2 where you've not. Surely it's not that bad. But what do you think about it?
I think Tottenham are going to be a very average team this season, and I think I saw a tweet today which was quite good that just said, turns out sacking a generational manager wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And Poch is now over at Paris, and he's had some ropey moments, but I love Tottenham, and I'll always love Tottenham, but I don't think I'll ever feel as connected unless another manager comes along of that ilk. It's not Nuno's fault. Nuno's a very likeable character. He's cool. I like him, but it's so hard to get that. And you're the same. You may have won the Champions League, Jay, but you will be the first to admit you maybe don't quite feel the same. It's easy to when you're winning, but that little golden spark in the centre of your chest has gone a little bit, hasn't it, with Frank?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about this the other day actually. I was talking to my mate Michael about just going to one of the away games because we were watching the one of the games this weekend, and I was just talking about when Frank come over to the fans and he's just celebrating with the fans, and I was there and I was just like, oh my god, and it meant that tiny little bit more. Absolutely, I completely understand that. And
like I said, we watched Poch break down after getting to the final.
Yeah, exactly.
And he screamed Tottenham, and
and he's now
Nuno's fault.
He's now bloody subbing off Messi and getting the decision right. And honestly,
getting the dubs.
And
subbing Messi and getting the dubs.
At the start of the season, with PSG signing Messi, all the players that they did, and then Poch being there and not being very proven as a winner. We know he's a fantastic manager. I had a question mark about him with this PSG team. But then the second I saw that and then win, I'm like, man's a baller, man. You've subbed off Messi because you need to win a game. You've gone and won it. That's such a baller move. I rate it so highly. Yeah, I know we've steered off the track there a little bit, but I just thought that was such a fantastic moment.
No, it's just that. It's. I think Tottenham. The real test is next week when we face a very, very. I'm not saying we're not a very average Tottenham team, but the real test is how we come across a very, very average Arsenal team. Yes, they're only 3 points behind us now, but they've managed to beat Norwich and Burnley. And let's not Burnley look like the worst. Last season we did that our Burnley in trouble pod. Mm-hmm. We did that season too early. This really looks like a troubled season for Burnley. I like Burnley.
Are they in trouble? Part 2, the sequel.
But they've beaten Norwich, they've beaten Burnley. Both of those teams have 0 points and 1 point. They have 1 point between them.
Yeah.
So I'll be very, very disappointed if we don't bounce back against Arsenal. But then again, it's a derby, so anything can happen, and it just completely fits the narrative that after 6 games they'll be back level with us. But hey ho.
Well, the stars are also aligning for your kind of prediction around not doing well against Rennes, losing to Chelsea. Arsenal come around.
Considering the injuries, we did fucking brilliantly against Rennes.
It's been a bit shambolic as well, but
I completely forgot. Rennes, I know you won, but Rennes ran you quite close in the Champions League last season. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, mate. I remember it was a rough game, that was. And then they're in the conference, which is just mad. But yeah.
It's weird because they're actually a better. Sorry, just as a really quick weird note on Rennes, they're actually, the commentators were talking about it, and with the players they've signed, they're a better team than they were against Chelsea. They just haven't bedded in yet. So they're a worse team.
Yeah.
But standard of player, they've actually improved. It's really weird. I didn't like it. I mean, Højbjerg scored and I was confused.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. So that's the Chelsea Tottenham game, of course. Chelsea are looking good. We're winning out of games where you might have thought we wouldn't in the past. We've said that already this season, but that's where winning cups and leagues is done, and this league has got such a high tempo already. It's only been five games in now, and
5.
It looks like, when you're looking at other teams like United and Liverpool keeping up that pace, we just absolutely need to keep it up.